videotape you've just seen is a tape of a fire which took place in East Brunswick last May. The firemen you saw fighting that fire are volunteers. They're the ones who provide fire protection in East Brunswick. Tonight's program is about East Brunswick, and tonight's topic is fire prevention and protection in our community. I have a number of guests with me who represent the fire service in East Brunswick, and I'd like to introduce them at this time. First is Fred Hoover, who is chairman of the Board of Fire Commissioners of District Number 1. Next to him is Chief James Whalen, who is chief of the Old Bridge Fire Company, District Number 1. Next to Chief Whalen is Ed Bound, who is chairman of the Board of Fire Commissioners in District Number 3, our newest district. And next to him is Chief William Wright, chief of the Brookview Volunteer Fire Company, which is in District Number 3. And next to Chief Wright is Bill Peck, who is chairman of the Board of Commissioners in Fire District Number 2. And next to Mr. Peck is Chief Frank Nicholas, who is chief of the Independent Fire Company, which is in District Number 2. And immediately to my right is Tom Terrell, who's Director of Public Safety in East Brunswick. And having done all of that, I think we're off to a good start. I know as I go around the community that a number of people occasionally are surprised that our fire protection is provided by volunteers, but I know that our volunteers have a long and honored history, and I wonder, Bill Peck, if you could tell us a little bit about the history of the volunteer fire companies in our community.
Well, we go way back to 1906 when the Old Bridge Fire Company was organized. And it was not until 1938 that there was need to provide additional protection in the township. The township had grown so little. So in 1938, the East Brunswick Independent Fire Company was organized and went operational in 1940. And it was not until 1952, 12 years later, that the Brookview Fire Company was organized. And each of the three companies have subsequently added additional stations so that we do now have good coverage for the township.
Now, each of the fire companies, indeed each of the fire districts, covers a different part of the community. And I wonder if I could ask each of the chiefs, beginning with Chief Whalen, to describe the area of the community that they cover.
We cover from River Road on the east all the way out west to Washington Avenue, and as far as north would be Racetrack Road. And then Independent picks it up from our area from Racetrack Road.
Let me go over to Chief Nicholas and ask him to describe the territory that Independent covers.
We pick up to the north of Old Bridge. We go from Racetrack Road up to the New Brunswick border. To the east, we're bordered with South River, Old Bridge Turnpike, and we go west to Burn Road.
And Chief Wright, how about Brookview?
Well, Brookview picks up on Fern Road where we meet with Independence, go down Cranberry to the border of South Brunswick. We go down to Farrington Lake and then over to Milltown, the border of Milltown.
Now we've introduced the chairman of the boards of commissioners of the fire districts. I'd like to talk a little bit about the fire districts before coming back to the fire companies themselves. One of the questions is, why or what is a fire district? And I'll open that to any one of the three chairmen who are here to answer that question.
Well, Bill, if I may, the fire district was created basically because of the economical situation. I know our fire department was very heavily in debt, and the fire company could not operate on the monies received by the council and by the contributions of the township people. So according to statute, certain procedures were set up whereby it would have to be approved by the council to go district. So we petitioned the council and it was granted. From that time on, the 5 commissioners were elected from our district and each other district. And it is the object of the commissioners to provide to the company the necessary funds for the safe operation and good fire fighting equipment, adequate fire equipment for the public. Basically, that's what a fire district is.
Fire District Number 3 is our newest district, having just been formed this past fall. And let me ask Ed Bound to tell us why Brookview, after so long, decided to go district?
Well, basically for the same reasons. We tried to stay an independent fire company as long as we could, operating on donations. But the recent inflation and rise in the price of everything the fire company needs to operate, we just found it almost impossible to continue operating on a donation basis. So we petitioned the council to form a fire district to operate on a tax basis instead.
So the fire districts have taxing power.
Yes, they do.
How does your budget get formed?
Well, this is the first year for us for forming it. The fire commissioners make a budget and submit it to the voters. And the voters have to approve the budget, and then the budget becomes part of the tax rolls.
So it's sort of like the Board of Education, if I understand it correctly. The Board of Education establishes a budget and puts it on referendum, and the people in the school district vote for that. And in a similar way, the people in the fire district, within each district, vote for the budget?
Exactly. Almost very similar to the school district.
Now, Bill Peck, how do people become fire commissioners?
You file a petition, have to get 10 registered voters in the district in which you're running, and get them verified by the township clerk, and if necessary, go out and do a little bit of promoting. And when at the same time that the budget is voted upon, then the fire commissioners are elected. There are 5 commissioners, 2 for 1 year, 2 for 1 year, and 1 for the third one, so that each year either 1 or 2 are being elected.
Typically, what sorts of people make up the Board of Commissioners?
In the case of District 2, ever since we were organized in 1980, all 5 commissioners have been members of the fire company. And we feel, there's much merit to that, in that the commissioners are well aware of the needs of the fire company, can relate to the needs, and we feel are in a much better position to adopt a budget that recognizes all of the essential areas. To elaborate a little bit on the budget, each of the Board of Commissioners have a finance committee, and they meet with the chief and his people and the president and his people to determine what their recommended needs are. And then there's some expenses that cost to operating the district itself. So the combination of the 3 determine the bottom line of the budget itself.
Fred Hoover, as I understand it, the district as an entity and the fire company are separate. Is that right?
Correct.
Well, what is the relationship between the district or the Board of Commissioners and the fire company itself in a legal sense?
In a legal sense, only as much that we are required as, what word should I use, economically possibly as possible, and legally have reports from the fire chief, from the president of the board of the fire company and his assistants. We periodically get reports on repairs that are needed on the trucks. And we have a very good rapport with our fire company. Our trucks are in tip-top shape because of the chief and his assistants, who are relegated to specific duties. And you may call that legal or not. I don't know what the proper terminology is for it. Going back to the budget again, and in the Board of Fire Commissioners, we originally had 2 civilians on the board, and we thought it was a good idea to have 2 civilians on the board. Unfortunately, one of them chose not to run again. And I am the only civilian member on the board as of now. And we feel this way it's a good idea for a civilian to be on there. He get a different perspective on firefighting and the needs of the fire company because he is a civilian. I know I've learned an awful lot. I knew nothing about fire company, and I don't know a great deal now, but I've certainly got a good education.
Bill Peck, is it correct that the commissioners are not bound to the particular fire company? I mean, could you go, for example, decide, for example, to get fire protection in District 2 by going to the Old Bridge Fire Company?
If we sign a fire protection agreement with the independent fire company, in other words, the Board of Fire Commissioners have the responsibility by law to provide protection, in our case, the District Number 2. The Board of Commissioners have no fire protection equipment of their own, so we, in effect, sign a fire protection agreement with the independent fire company, and it is the organization that provides fire protection to our district. If for some reason, let's take an extreme case where there could not be an agreement worked out between Fire District 2 and the independent fire company, then by law, we would be mandated to find some organization that would, whether we went to another district in the township or to outside the community. I don't visualize that obviously ever
that's
happening.
unlikely, I think.
But the responsibility by law is that the Board of Commissioners provide fire protection to their district.
Ed, Bound, to your knowledge, for your district and the others, do the districts have any employees?
No, the district has no employees. They contract with the different volunteer fire companies, and all the firemen are volunteers in East Brunswick.
Is that true for the other two districts as
Yes.
well?
Yes.
Is there no employees?
We have part-time, have an auditor, a bookkeeper.
Okay.
And, I mean,
Yeah, professional.
yes.
Yeah,
as far as
in
But
terms
the
they are not
support
employed
staff.
by the district, they're, contract.
Otherwise, there is.
So then, it's a case that the majority of the budget, the majority of the money that you raise goes to support the fire company itself and its equipment and
That's
so on.
correct.
Now, are there any paid members, anybody paid in the fire company itself?
No.
No, okay. All right, I just wanted to establish where the money went. It does go towards equipment and so on.
Mayor, I know you've worked on your own budget, and you know what a hassle it is. We spend a lot of hours going over this budget. I think the other commissioners will agree with me.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a
Well,
hassle.
and I might comment at this point that one of the concerns I think that the community had when the idea of forming districts first came up was that there would be a spending binge of some sort, and because that's happened in other communities. But I've been very pleased that all the commissioners in all the districts have been quite restrained and quite conservative in their expenditures. I know that you've chosen to refurbish equipment rather than buy new, and a number of other cost-saving things, and I've really been pleased with that because it has been a bad experience in some areas of our state. I'd like to turn now for a little bit to the fire companies themselves. And we have three fire chiefs sitting here. And let me ask Jim Whalen, how do you get to be fire chief?
Well, I'll tell you, Mayor, it's elected position,
Mhm.
and I've started from the bottom as a second lieutenant all the way up the rankings. And it's, have to go to school. We have, when we're a lieutenant, we have to go to line officer school. After lieutenant, we go to captain, then we have to go to staff and command. We have to have a county schooling to ordinarily become a lieutenant. Then when you get up into the chief rankings, you have to go to all the schools. The schools exist of the county and the state. And it's an elected position. It's not who you know or who's the best looking person, it's what you know.
Chief Nicholas, is the chief the only officer in the fire company?
No, we have assistant chiefs on the line side, assistant chief, captain, first lieutenant, and one second lieutenant for each of our firehouses, each of the three firehouses we have. Also on the bench side, there's a president, vice president, treasurer, and three secretaries.
What do you mean by the bench side?
Bench side is the administrative side of the fire company, not the district, the fire company side.
Well, let's go back to the line officers for a minute. Let me ask Chief Wright, isn't there a danger that since these are elected positions, there could be a popularity contest? How can we be sure that the people who are chiefs and other line officers really know what they're doing?
Well, in Brookville, we have a progressive system, like the other two companies do too. And to become chief, on an average, is 10 years into the company. If you went up through the line, it would take 10 years. And after 10 years, you got enough experience to be chief. Because you pick up a lot of headaches going up the line. And when you finally get there, you're there and you know what you're doing. And it's always the dangers of popularity or whatever you want to call it, but most of our guys are right up through the line.
Now, at a fire scene, Chief Whalen, who's in charge? Who's responsible for the firemen who are there?
Well, the chief is responsible for every firefighter that's on the fire scene. Now, you know, we try to work as careful as possible. We're not wrecking crews. We do take pride in our work. And the chief has the responsibility of every firefighter on the scene.
Chief Nicholas, is it likely that the firemen literally whose lives are in the chief's hands are going to select somebody to be chief who doesn't know what they're doing?
No, the men are pretty careful on that. They don't push anybody in there that's not deserving of the job.
Okay. Now, let me talk with Tom Terrell a little bit about the role of the Department of Public Safety in the fire service in East Brunswick. What is the relationship of the township, and particularly your department, to the fire service?
Well, of course, we are the two most critical emergency services in the township, so we have a close relation at the scene. Moreover, in East Brunswick, of course, we receive the telephone calls reporting the fires, dispatch the companies, and render assistance at the scene and in that respect. Beyond that, if there's any question of the fire being of suspicious origin, we cooperate with the County Arson Task Force in the investigation and follow-up of the crime. More than that, as the two key emergency services, we have...
Excuse me, you say two key emergency services.
Fire service and police and public safety. We're invariably bound together in handling almost any scene. For example, in traffic accidents where there's a spill, it's the fire company that washes it down. Where there's a possibility of a larger problem, the fire company is always called. Standby, they help us in every way, and we like to think we help them as much as possible. East Brunswick, I think we have also a unique situation in the public safety structure, because within public safety, we have the chief fire inspector, and now under the new state fire code, we have the fire official who is responsible for enforcing and making sure everyone is educated to all the upgraded fire prevention requirements the new state law has imposed. This means that we work very closely together, and have for a number of years, in handling building and construction, and more recently in permits. The key phase of this liaison is the Fire Prevention Advisory Committee. Now, all the gentlemen you see here, of course, you appointed to the committee. Each chief of the fire companies is a member of the committee, as well as one of the commissioners. These gentlemen are those designated. Beyond that, we have the fire subcode official as a member, the chief construction code official, plus provision for two civilian members of the Fire Prevention Advisory Committee. One is filled very capably by Mr. Jerry Lickenfelder. Additionally, provision is made for one member of the police department whom I designated, and that's Captain Louis Rotolo, who has been involved in this for many years, and as a matter of fact is a former fireman. As I should point out, are many members of the police department, especially the old line officers. Mm-hmm. So we have a very close operating relationship on a day-to-day basis, as well as handling critical areas, looking to upgrade requirements for hydrant location, width of roads, access to fire scenes for all emergency vehicles and equipment.
How, Bill Peck, you're on the Fire Prevention Advisory Committee.
Yes, sir.
How does the committee work, and what kinds of things do you discuss and deal with?
I have, coincidentally, I happen to be as one of the civilian members, having been on it many years. Fire Prevention Advisory Board, we feel, represents a good cross-section of the fire service, with the 3 fire chiefs represented, now represented the 3 districts, police service, fire subcode official, building instruction, and plus insight from the 2 civilians. And of course, as Director pointed out, Jerry is an excellent member to that committee, has excellent background in code work. Any problem or any area where there's need to strengthen Fire Prevention Advisory Board, we feel performs a very important function, and has been in existence for many years, and today I feel is more active than it's ever been, because we have needs for continually strengthened areas where the township is expanding. And feel that right now we have been a very strong force in strengthening fire protection concerns of the township.
I think that's true without question. Their official responsibilities are to advise me in these matters, and I can't think of a better expert pool for resources on whatever the fire problem is. Additionally, with the appointment, hopefully in the near future, of the fire official under the state code, they will be an advisory body to him. Typical example is the help they gave us in the Tower Center in the construction of that. In fact, the committee made the recommendations to me in selecting a consultant who reviewed all of the plans and equipment in the original plans to make sure that they were state-of-the-art fire prevention and fire suppression devices, and they really were worth their weight in gold during that procedure.
All right. And that committee meets monthly?
Periodically, we've been meeting recently much more frequently than once a month.
Nominally monthly.
Right. That's what we look forward to, but we've been really working very hard in getting this fire code implementation going.
Okay. We're going to come back in a little while and talk about the firefighters themselves and where they come from and their training and so on. But at this point, we have some videotape of equipment that was taken at each fire company, and I'd like to show that tape and have each chief describe what we're seeing while the tape is being shown.
Okay, we'll take it.
This is our 1971 Hahn. It's stationed at Colonial Oaks on Dunham Corner up by Dellenbach's. 1,000-gallon pumper. This truck ran us 40,000 back then. Now our new Hahn is a 1980, and that ran us 80, so it doubled in just about 10 years.
Our pumper's 175,000 plus equipment.
This is our oldest truck. It's a 1952 brush truck. This takes a lot of abuse. New motors go into it all the time, and we just added on a new pump on the back, which is very expensive.
What's a brush truck?
It's a truck that can get into the woods very easy, and you try not to damage it, but it does get a little damage to it, and so you can put out the woods fires. And with our area being a lot of residential and a lot of woods, we need this, and we have a new one being built right now, so we have 2 of them going. These are all the booster lines that we fight the fire with. We also have 2 10-footers on the back. We don't try to take these hose reels off because the truck has to be a quick move out of the woods if the starts spreading.
This
Now,
here is
Chief Whalen.
this here is our newest piece of apparatus. It's a 1985 Holland. It's a 7-man cab, as you can see, the enclosed cab. It's cost us, that's a 6,000-watt generator that can light up the sky. Those are the lights that will light the sky up on. The truck cost us $186,000 with the fully equipped, the way you see that truck right now as it is. It's got the booster lines, 1,500-gallon pumper. It holds 750 gallons of water. It has the deluge gun up on top. It's mounted. It's pre-piped in there. And there's your Scott packs, the breathing apparatus. They're wonders, because if we didn't have them, we'd have many of the fellows going down into the fires. They'd be getting overcome with gas. It is a hydromatic.
This is a 1969 Pittman Seagrave snorkel. It's refurbished. We had it refurbished about 2 years ago at a cost of $30,000. That piece of equipment now, new, would cost over $250,000. That's it. It's an articulating boom, which means the boom bends in the middle. It works. The boom works under hydraulics. There's a hydraulic pump in the truck that pushes hydraulic fluid through the boom that makes it operate. There are also 2 safety systems built into the boom in case we lose hydraulic pressure. There's an electrical system to get the people down and a manual system to operate the boom. It's dual control. You can control the boom from the back step as well as in the bucket. In a fire, the man in the bucket would control it. And if he would become overcome by smoke or injured, the man on the back step can overpower his control up there and bring him down. It flows 1,000 gallons a minute. Setup time is about 5 minutes from the time you get on the scene until the time you flow water out of the nozzle.
This is what it looks like when you're up there.
Yeah, it's high up there. They're used for stabilizers. We call them booms. They come out and they stabilize the truck. There's a pad that fits underneath for when you're on soft ground. And a little bend in the nozzle there is to relieve the back pressure. You're flowing 1,000 gallons at 100 pounds pressure out of that tip. From the ground to the top of the basket when it's fully extended is 75 feet.
It's a long way up.
It is. It's a little windy up there, it sways a bit. You get a good view, though.
Our camera crew bravely went up, and while they were up there, they couldn't miss the opportunity. Now, this next tape is a simulated response to a fire.
All right, these are the firemen coming into the Colonial Oaks Firehouse up there by Dellenbach. The first man in will call headquarters to get the location of the fire, which is very important so the truck gets to the right place. You see, now you'll start seeing the men coming in, grabbing their gear. We keep our gear at the firehouse. Some men will keep it with them. They all come in, they'll jump on the trucks. Well, let me back up a little bit. The first driver in will drive the first truck out, which he just came in, Pete. And get on the back of the truck, throwing the hose cover up just in case we have to lay any hose in, strapping yourself into the new safety equipment on the truck. The assistant chief, he'd normally be answering from his house, so he can get to the scene and relay back to the truck what's going on, if we need line or not, try to check down the situation.
I asked our other 2 chiefs, you operate pretty much the same way.
We do. The first man in answers the phone, and if he's the qualified driver, he's the first man that drives. Now, if he's not a qualified driver, then the first man in that is a qualified driver will drive the vehicle. We operate pretty well the same in the whole 3 fire departments.
Chief Nicholas, how is it driving in traffic these days? Do folks generally observe the sirens and get out of the way, or is that a problem?
You find out going down the roads that not too many people look in their rear view mirrors and with their radios on and the stereos on in the cars. They don't hear the trucks behind them, and when they do look and they see it, it's quite a shock to them, and a lot of them hit the brake in front of you.
It's very, very important to clear the way for our emergency equipment. Director Terrell, what's the proper procedure when there's an emergency vehicle behind you?
Pull to the right, no question about it.
Well, we saw just a few pieces of equipment from each of the fire companies, fire districts. I'd like to ask each chief in turn to tell us a little bit more about the other equipment that they have, beginning with Chief Nicholas.
One of the other pieces of equipment that we have that is fairly unique is a mini attack pumper. We'll run that to everything except a commercial fire, house fires, brush fires, car fires. What that does is it, not only cost-wise, it costs about half the size of a full-size pumper, where we'll run the mini pumper and save the full-size pumper. It's less use on that. But in response time getting to the fire, it runs with 2 less men. You still have the same capabilities. You'll have a 350-gallon pump on it. Mm-hmm. It's proved to be very effective.
And why is it called an attack pumper?
Quick attack pumper. It'll go in there and make an attack right on the fire without stretching its line. They'll go right to the fire scene. Men will jump off, put on the scat packs, and run in with the hose lines in the house fire. The supplementary trucks that come will in turn lay a line from that attack pumper to a fire hydrant for the water supply. The truck does carry a supply. All of the trucks, all of the pumpers, full-size pumpers, carry on board 500 gallons of water, and the mini pumper carries 350 gallons of water.
Now, how many firehouses or stations do you have?
Independent Fire Company has 3 fire stations with 7 pumpers and the 1 aerial truck.
How about Brookview?
Probably our specialized piece of equipment I would have to consider is our light truck. It's a 1970 Ford utility body, and it has a 15K generator on it with a 16-foot aromatic boom with lights on top of it, which is capable of lighting up a baseball field. We also, on the bed of it, have our cast-day system, which is a portable cast-day system, which is very important at the fire scenes, so you can refill the bottles. And that's our specialized piece of equipment. We have our new brush truck is going to be going in service in another month or so, hopefully, and to take care of the residential area out there in the woods.
And how many firehouses does Brookview have?
We have two main houses, and we have a station behind the revamping firehouses that houses the brush trucks and the pickup trucks.
Chief Whalen, how about Old Bridge?
Well, we have a new addition coming in April. It's a 110-foot ladder tower. The price on that is a very heavy price. It's $432,000. It's powered by a V8 92 turbo engine, and it's going to be worth the dollar here in town because the way they're building, like Society Hill and those townhouses, there are 12 families in one section, and 35-foot ladder right now will not get to the top of the roof. We've tried it, and people questioned us about it, and we explained it to them. We had a demonstration with it. We had it out in Society Hill, and the folks out there were overwhelmed with it. They even wanted to go up in the air, but we weren't allowed to get them up in the air because, God forbid, if anything happened, the insurance company would throw us all out. We have 3 firehouses, and we have 6 pumpers and 2 brush trucks. And, you know, it'll be coming in April, that 110-foot ladder, and it's going to be a lot of work with that. It took us like a year to spec that truck out.
Let's, earlier, a couple of you mentioned Hahn trucks. What is that a brand of truck?
Yes, it's a manufacturer, Hahn Motors. They're very well known in the towns. A lot of surrounding towns have Hahns. A lot of companies have, like Mack Motors over there on Route 1. They make a fire truck. Emergency One, which I believe the Independence attack truck is an Emergency One. They're down out of Florida. The 110-foot ladder tower is going to be a Pierce. I mean, you got a variety of different manufacturers. That's their names. That's the truck. Hahn is, we have 3 Hahns. And if Hahn would have made the ladder tower at that time, we probably would have been Hahn Ladder Tower. But we got a good deal on the Pierce, so we're going to go Pierce for a change.
Let's turn now from the equipment to the people who run the equipment, who are perhaps the most important element of fighting a fire. And let me ask, beginning with Chief Nicholas, how many active firemen are there in Independent Fire Company?
We have approximately 50 active members right now.
And Brookview?
Roughly 35.
And Old Bridge?
I have a roll call of 75 active men, and then we have 25 inactive men.
From time to time, we read the newspapers about public debates among various people as to whether or not volunteer fire companies can really function and provide adequate protection in this day and time. And I ask that question because I know a lot of people out there probably are interested in hearing some answers to it. What are the capabilities of our volunteer firemen? Let's start with Chief Nicholas.
Capabilities?
Yes. I mean, how do they learn what to do? Do they know what to do?
Basically, when you come in, anybody can come in off the street between the ages of 18 and 35, and we'll train you what to do. Our requirements are, as we stated before, was to attend we sent them to South Old Bridge Fire Training School, which is 16 weeks 1 day a week for 4 hours. And basically, the officers and members will take the man around and show him. He's also required to make other state, county schools.
Chief Whalen?
Well, we have in-house training besides the state schools, the county schools. We do send either to Middlesex County College, or we do send down to South Obridge, whatever the available time is for the man. If he can't give up during the week, which is the county school, we will send him to Sundays down to South Obridge. We have in-house training. I have 6 men on a training. We take the pumpers out. We train with the pumps because it's a very touchy subject with a pump. If you don't get water out on the fire, we're in trouble. So we do heavy training with the pumpers. We pump with the hydrant. We draft, like the
Draft,
lakes.
what does that mean?
Drafting is out of a lake, which the town had set up for us over at Downbacks. We train over there, like if you're out in like Brookview's area where there's not too many hydrants and you need flow of water, we'll set up a pumper at the lake. We'll draft from the lake, hook up hoses, and then we could shuttle water back and forth.
Chief Wright, how about your men?
Our manpower, we have the schools, just like the other 2 companies. We have the in-house training, we have driver training, and we try to assign an officer to every new member that comes in. And lately, you're only getting 1 or 2 here and there, so we ain't overloading the officers. We'd like to see a lot more, but we just don't get applicants right now.
Well, a little later, we'll talk about how people become a volunteer fireman and where they call for each district and so on. How many fires do we have a year? Who has, Bill, do you have an answer to that?
Can answer for our district, we had over 600 last year.
Oh, really?
We hit with 162.
Old Bridge Fire Department had 377 alarms last year.
Quick addition, that's something over
It's like
1,000.
1,100 fire
Yeah.
calls in the township.
I believe that's probably up from last year, because I know your last year figure was in the 500 range, 529 or something
I
like that.
believe this set a new all-time record for us.
Oh, this was your all-time record?
Right.
619 was.
It's the day of the hurricane. When the hurricane came through, we had 25 runs that day alone.
Bill Peck, let me ask you a question similar to what I asked before. I know you've been involved in the fire service a long time, and what do you think the capability of our volunteer fire companies is? Are we able to deal with anything that comes along?
I think so, Mayor. We've tried to keep pace with the development, and I think leadership over the years has proven that the additional stations that have been built, additional equipment that we provided, additional training that we require of the members to meet the new challenges. And we've got water now throughout most of the township. So I feel, when we're talking manpower costs with the volunteers, it's availability, not capability. And I feel that all 3 companies provide good, capable firefighters, but unfortunately availability is a concern at times, particularly during the day. And the daytime hours, the 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. period, 5 days a week, is the period of time where we could use additional people in all 3 fire companies.
Come back to the type of fires for a minute. I know a lot of people today are concerned about the possibility of chemical fires or toxic material spills or that kind of thing. Are we able to deal with those things in East Brunswick? Do we have the equipment? Do we have the training?
I'll be happy to jump in on that one, because we're in public safety closely involved, and I want to say that I've been very impressed. It seems to me that the fire service is training all the time, and occasionally we make joint arrangements for that. But they are very advanced in hazmat. I know a number of them have been, hazmat being the jargon for hazardous material and chemical fires. The Fire College in Maryland, I know a number of the officers have been down there, and they've impressed us as being on top of the situation, and they worked very closely with our emergency people in that area to prepare for whatever happens. So I think we're in a very strong position in that connection.
Chief Nicholas, do we have the necessary equipment for chemical fires or for toxic spills?
Within the town, we do have the necessary equipment. If we don't have it, we can go to Brookview or Old Bridge to get it. There's also a hazmat response team stationed in town.
Mhm.
It's run by the county.
So among the three fire companies, you have sort of figured out what you need and you call on one another. Well, it brings me to another topic, and that is, and Bill Peck mentioned it, a related topic. What happens if one of you's out on a fire and there's a fire someplace else, or if there aren't enough people to respond to a fire? How does that work?
We
Chief
run
Whalen?
a mutual aid system in the three fire companies in town. We do help one another out. Good public relations. Now, if we have a structure fire, we would call Independent in maybe to assist us at the location and then bring Brookview in on a standby. We'll try to center the one fire company in the center of town. This way he can respond at any location from the center of town. Now, if we're all involved in a major fire, we go to a mutual aid system, which we have a new organization started up 2 years ago, the Middlesex South County Firefighters Association. And we will bring in companies from that organization to stand by at our houses. So this way we will have protection to cover the town.
Chief Nicholas, talking about specialized kinds of fires, had a letter a while back from a young person in the community who was questioning the Tower Center construction and saying, well, you know, how in the world can we have something like that? And because if there's a fire, we don't have a ladder big enough to get to the top of it. And the other part of his question, which I think we've answered, is what if everybody's up there fighting a fire and somebody else has one? But how do you answer that question? How do we fight a fire there if we don't have a ladder tall enough to go to the top?
All right, in a building like that, the fire would have to be fought from inside the building. In this building and in most high-rise buildings, there's a standpipe system that's built into the building. They have a pump in the basement that's connected to a domestic water supply that pumps it into a piping system that runs the whole height of the building. And it'll come out in various spots, usually in the stairwells. And the firemen will go in. Our procedure is to go to the floor below where the fire is and advance through the stairwell, hook to the standpipe connection, and advance hose lines into the fire floor that way.
Have you, now, Tower Center is about to be occupied, the first building anyway. If they had a fire there tomorrow, would it be the first time you've been there?
We've been there during construction for dumpster fires.
And
Which is
how about training?
Training, yes. We've had a drill there. I believe you popped in on it, that one. The Tower Center is actually state-of-the-art in fire detection systems. I believe they have, the building is completely sprinkled, standpipe systems, smoke alarms, latest in the elevator technology, and they have a computerized fire detection system in there. The computer in the computer room can tell you where the fire is, where the smoke is, what fans are operating and what fans aren't inside the building.
Sounds like the work of the Fire Prevention Advisory Committee and the builder's desire to have a safe building is paid off.
Absolutely. We're convinced of that.
Good, good. Now, Bill Peck, I know that for the past several years, really, you've been looking and working with the fire companies and also working with the fire insurance, some fire insurance agency. Could you tell us a little bit about that and what's been going on?
Well, a program of evaluation of fire defenses of cities was adopted way back at the turn of the century by the then National Board of Fire Underwriters. And today, the Insurance Services Office, which is a successor to the National Board, continues that program. We had an evaluation in 1982, and we graded fifth class according to their grading or evaluation process. And it's our desire to try to improve to class 4 and ultimately possibly class 3. So you appointed a task force, and which is subdivided into 3 committees of communication, fire department, and water supply. And each of these 3 subcommittees have been meeting and working over the past few years and feel that we are close now to being able to ask ISO to send back for a reevaluation. And fire companies have worked hard, added new equipment, Additional mains have been installed, additional hydrants have been installed, we've improved communications. So we feel that many of the areas where there were needs to strengthen have been strengthened. And essentially our goal now is to have the efforts recognized by having the insurance industry realize that we do have a better degree of protection now than we did 3 years ago.
And what difference does that make?
In fire insurance rates, residential rates are not affected. 1 through 8 have essentially the same rate, but commercial rates reflect the improvement in protection. But of course, the important thing is we do have an improved degree of fire protection for the citizens of the township. But insurance-wise, all commercial properties would be able to benefit by the improvement in classification.
Now, Tom Terrell at least, and I think maybe somebody else mentioned the new state fire prevention code, or fire code, I guess. I know that while there was a lot of publicity when that was adopted, there probably hasn't been much about its implementation. And I'd like to talk about that a little bit. Who would like to start off by telling us what the code requires and what has to be done and who's going to do it?
Well, perhaps I can start by saying that the fire community and the township worked out an agreement in which the township was responsible for implementing and conducting the periodic inspections that are required to make sure that the hazard of fire is reduced. And these are identified as life hazard locations, large stores, some industry, those sorts of structures. Not only that, the Fire Prevention Advisory Committee also served as the screening agent to select the all-important fire official who is charged by ordinance with making all this higher degree of inspection and fire safety work in conjunction with the fire community.
And who's going to pay for this new person that we've hired?
That's going to be paid through reimbursed funds from the state based on new licensing requirements. The municipality will receive 80% of the entire licensing fees and permit fees collected within that township. The 20% remaining is retained by the state for administrative charges. And this is a self-sustaining operation. It doesn't cost a tax dollar of the municipality.
So the facilities that have to be inspected have to pay for it?
Exactly.
There's now a fee for this inspection.
And actually, it's an essential service to those entrepreneurs and businesses who are affected by the licensing, because it enables them to have better protection and improve their operation where problems are detected. And it requires absolutely that these periodic inspections be conducted. They absolutely must be.
Okay. Sounds like things are going to be better than they were.
I do think the entire fire community in this state has been looking for a statewide application. As a matter of fact, here in East Brunswick, we've felt that the requirements in the fire code in East Brunswick were excellent in the past.
Time we have left, I want to talk a little bit about being a volunteer fireman. I'm going to start out by asking Chief Whalen 2 questions. Why'd you become a volunteer fireman, and what's in it for somebody else?
Well, I'll tell you, Mayor, when I first bought my home, I live on Overbridge Turnpike. I live 2 houses away from Pine Street Firehouse. And I used to look out the door or out the window. They used to ride by, only see a couple of fellas on the fire truck. So I said to my next door neighbor, I said, Rich, do you guys need help? So I wanted to be a volunteer firefighter. I always wanted to be a fireman. So he says, well, let me get an application. So we filled out the application. They came and interviewed me. And I love being a volunteer firefighter. I take a lot of pride in it, and so does all my men in the fire department. And there's nothing like it.
Let me ask Chief Wright the same question.
Well, I came from a small town over in Holland Park, and our family was always tied up over in the volunteer fire department. When I moved out here to East Brunswick, one of our friends was a fireman. He asked me to come down and They're looking for new members, so I went down, filled the application, went through the interview, and Jeremy became a fireman. And being a fireman, you have to go out there and just feel it, because you're out there helping the people, the citizens of East Brunswick right now, to protect their dams. If we weren't out there, they would probably have to go to pay or something like that, and to me, it wouldn't be worth it, because I think we get excellent jobs through the volunteer system. So it's in my heart to try to help their people out there.
Chief Nicholas?
It's basically the same reasons. I'm not a lifetime resident of town. When I moved into town, I wanted to get involved in a community service. And the fire company is very close to my house, and they needed help, so I decided to join in.
All right, let's go around again and start with Chief Whalen, and why don't you tell people who are watching how they can, well, let me back up for a minute. If you want to be a volunteer firefighter, which company do you, which fire company do you go to? How do you know?
Well, I'll tell you, Mayor, we have boundary lines. We don't go into the other fire districts to solicit firefighters. It's not right to them, and I wouldn't want them to come into my district. We are District 1. I gave the boundary lines before. River Road, all the way out to Washington Avenue, far up as Racetrack Road. Anybody that's interested in that district, they could stop down at 5 Pine Street. That's off Old Bridge Turnpike. We have a 4-bay firehouse down there, and they can get an application. They can fill it out, and then we can go from there. But we do need help.
Chief Wright?
Well, to join Brookview, on every Monday night, we have a meeting or a drill or something going on in the firehouse where somebody's there. And all they have to do is stop in, talk to a couple of firemen, they'll get the application for you, show you around, and we'd gladly have you fill out the application. And if you pass the physical, we accept it.
It's the same for
Chief
us.
Nicholas?
The Willow Street Firehouse at 219 Willow Street. Most of the time, there's someone there. Anyone interested could come drop by and grab an application, or they could call me at my residence at home. It's listed in the phone book.
How much time does it take to be a volunteer? Chief?
It's quite a strain on you. Chief, you're out every night, just about.
Yeah. How about a regular firefighter?
A regular
Somebody who doesn't
fireman.
have a line officer's job or?
Other than responding to the fires, he has his trainings. We have mandatory trainings once a month. And every other weekend, we have optional trainings. We're not requiring the people to come down. If they want to come down and get the knowledge, which we highly recommend they do, they could come down. Then there's the mandatory house maintenances and truck maintenance and stuff like that. But that's usually once a month.
How about Brookview?
Brookview, we have every Monday night. We have a drill or meeting, or work meeting, and then just a fire call, and us being the smallest area, we only run 162 calls, so it doesn't really take that much time.
Chief Whalen?
Not too much time. We do have mandatory drills, which they have to make, and the drill may run from 1 hour to 3 hours. It all depends on what kind of drill we get into. And we don't like to see you hang around, because if you're a married man with a family, after the fire, you have to go back to the house and get roll call. After roll call, you're going home. I mean, if you want to hang around the firehouse, you're welcome to it. But it doesn't consist a lot of time. But if you have a structure fire, you may be gone an hour or 2 hours, whatever. But it's not that much time.
Is there a requirement that firemen answer a certain number of calls?
We do have a 40% system. They have to make 40% of fire calls. We include in our meetings, which we have 12 meetings a year, cleanups, everything. We put it all into one pot and make it 40%.
How about the other fire companies?
We have 35%.
Or is this 33?
All right. Well, I just say that in my observation of things that go on in our community, that I can't think of anything that anybody can do that would be more satisfying than being part of our volunteer emergency services. You know, I've seen all of you at work, and I've seen the reaction of the people who you're helping. Pardon me. And I just can't imagine anything that one could put their time into that would be more satisfying than being part of the volunteer service. And a lot of you don't know this, but I think if I hadn't become involved in civic affairs, in fact I know, because a good friend of mine was a member of Brookview, that I'd probably be a fireman today. But it's kind of tough to do both things. So I hope that the people who are watching who might have been thinking about ways of getting involved in the community, ways of serving the community, will think about volunteering to become part of the fire service in East Brunswick. It's really a satisfying and rewarding thing to do. And I want to thank all of you for being here tonight and participating in the program. I hope it's been an interesting program to our viewers. It's been very interesting to me, and I wish you all the very best.
Thank you.
Thank
It's
you,
a
Mayor.
pleasure, Mayor.